Hey, Jimbo, you ready for this deal?
Turn him out.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, friends and neighbors. Time once again for the Cowboys of the Osage podcast with your host, Jimbo Snively and Cody Garnett. Now let's sing a little bit about it. Cowboys of the Osage, riding once again. Always got some time for a friend. And here they are, the Cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast, brought to you by the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum, Buck and Flamingo Turquoise Shop, and the Saucy Calf Traditional Native American Food, all located in historic downtown Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Hey, it's old Cody over here, and as always, I have my main man with me, Mr. Rodeo historian himself, Jimbo Snively. Good morning, Jimbo. What do we got going on here today?
Hey, Cody boy, it's another great day in Osage, man. And boy, that saucy calf's a good place to eat.
I'm telling you what.
That makes me hungry. You just bringing it up.
I put on 30 pounds just testing that fry bread out.
You got to test it.
They got that fry bread down to perfection over there.
I mean, for sure. Cody, we got one of the great bull riders of all time, in my opinion, Mr. Denny Flynn from over in Arkansas. He won the average at the NFR 3 times. He's runner-up the world 3 times, third in the world 3 times. And listen to this, Cody. He's in the PBR Ring of Honor, the only non-PBR guy or bull rider that I know of that's in that. He's in the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame down in Oklahoma City, the Bull Riding Hall of Fame, and he's the only rodeo cowboy in the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And anyway, just truly one of the greats ever in bull riding, and we're just tickled that he take time to talk to us today. And Denny, welcome to the Cowboys of the Osage podcast.
Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed talking with you guys, and I appreciate you all counting me in on this.
Well, we're proud to have you, for sure. For sure.
No doubt about it.
Where'd you grow up at, Denny?
Oh, just about 30 miles just east of Fort Smith in a little town called Charleston. And anyway, I grew up there on a farm, and my dad, he worked at the stockyards in Fort Smith, so everything he brought home, me and my brother would put it in a little old makeshift chute, and we would ride it. And that's where we learned how to ride.
Yeah, I bet. That was probably pretty good practice.
Oh, yeah.
Are you still the
Good
only...
memories.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good memories back then.
Oh, yeah, great memories. No doubt.
Yeah.
What all would he buy for you to ride when he horses, bulls, what? Or everything?
Buffalo.
You know, he was always bringing home some little old poor young horses. He'd buy them for little or nothing and fatten them up and, let them grow for a year or two. Well, I always enjoyed riding those little horses and getting on them, breaking them and stuff. So he just seemed like the more I'd ride, the more he'd buy. But about the time I'd get them broke, well, he'd sell them, bring in another set. So, I think back and relate that to my riding ability of hanging on with my legs and feet. And there was another old man there one time, and I always remember what he said, and I said, well, I don't know if I can ride them bareback or not. He said, well, them Indians used to ride them bareback and shoot buffalo with bow and arrow. He said, just hang on. And so it always kind of stuck in my mind, and so I played Indians, riding them little horses, and they'd try to buck around there. But it taught me how to hang on with my feet and my legs. And I'll never forget what Jim Shoulders told me. We was over there when I was just kind of starting out. I just thrilled to be there around Jim Shoulders. But he told the boys, he said, the ride starts from the bottom up. He said, if you don't use them spurs, you'll never make a bull rider. And anyway, so I always tried to do that, riding them little horses or riding steers or cows or whatever we got on. I really tried to teach myself how to hang on, from the bottom up with my spurs and my legs. And I think that helped me more than anything.
They used to have a great big old horse sale over there in the early days in Fort Smith, Jimbo. Biggin'.
Really?
My great-granddad, I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, Denny. His name was Clifford Barnes. He was a great big horse buyer. He'd go over there to Fort Smith and buy 25 train loads of horses every time they had a sale, Jimbo.
Huh. I know that's a big sale down there, cattle sale too. I used to go down there, and I can't think of the order buyer's name, but he had a company down there, and he would and I'd order some little roping steers, some little Arkansas cattle. They were a little cheaper than Mexicans, or not cheaper, but you had something when you got done with them a little more than Mexican, for practice cattle. And I used to go down there and pick up cattle quite a bit.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good sale up there, and that horse sale, I'd love to go up there and sit there and watch them bring them horses in and out and ride them in them sales. And I just grew up there at the sale barn. My dad worked there for 40 years, I think, and so Tom Talley was one of those big order buyers.
That was Tom. It was Tom Talley. Talley. That was Phil Talley's brother, wasn't it? Yeah. I knew Phil Talley, and it sure was. That was Tom Talley, who I used to go get those steers from.
Did you ever know Clifford Barnes, the horse buyer that would head over there?
I didn't know him. I just remember the name, the Barnes part of it.
He was a bigger guy. He was from Elk City. He was a bigger guy that one time he was bringing a load of horses home from the sale at Canadian, Texas, Jimbo, and is back when you had to string them. There wasn't any trailers or anything, and he got struck by lightning, and he was crippled ever since then, but it never stopped him from going to horse sales. He became one of the biggest horse buyers in the country right about that time.
Wow.
And he'd head over to Fort Smith, and we have an old newspaper clipping saying that, he'd buy over 100 train car loads of horses there a month.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They brought them in from everywhere, didn't they?
Yes, sir. I never was able to go, but I've read about it, in that newspaper clipping of my great-granddad that was there in Fort Smith.
Wow. Denny, are you still the only Arkansas guy to ever make the national finals?
No, Kenny Wilcox. He won the average there at the finals. He lived there on Greenbrier. Really good bull rider. They put him in the Hall of Fame, I think, last year in the Bull Riders Hall of Fame. And, he rode really good. I got to travel with him. He was a little bit younger than me, and I'd already made the finals 2 or 3 years and whatever, and then hooked up with him, and really great guy, and rode really, really good.
Bobby Hurley, the team roper, world champion from Arkansas.
Right. Bobby, I seen him. His dad just passed away, and they had his funeral last couple of weeks ago. Bobby won the world 3 times, I think, in the team roping, heading for Leo Camarillo and
Alan Bach.
Alan Bach. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Did you go
now?
Go ahead.
His daughter lives in Stephenville, and she married Tyler Worley. He's from Arkansas, and he's made the finals a couple of times. But they moved down in Stephenville down there. But Tyler ropes real good.
Did you go to a lot of junior rodeos and stuff in Arkansas?
Back when I was in high school, my brother went to the high school, the 2 years there in 11th and 12th grade, and he won the all-around down there, and he came home with that saddle, and that's really fired me up to try to do the same thing. And he won it in '67, and I come back 2 years later and won all around in '69 and won the saddle then. And but they only had the one rodeo. They didn't have like when my daughter was going, we'd go to a high school rodeo dang near every week. And back then, they only had the one. You just entered the finals, and whoever made the finals, got to go to the nationals. So it's changed up quite a bit. So we didn't have a lot of junior rodeos. No, back in the day.
Did you go to college at Arkansas?
I went to the University of Arkansas 3 years.
They didn't have a rodeo team or anything, did they?
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No, went up there. And I was 8th on the lottery list to go to Vietnam, and I was going to college. And after the third year in college, Nixon ended the draft, and I filled my permit, PRCA permit, and so I took off the first of the next year, and that's all history. Then I never looked back. I just rodeoed from then on.
Right. Hey, Denny, back in those days, what did it take to fill a permit to be a full PRCA member? I think it's different then than it is now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is now. Back then it was $1,000. Had to win $1,000 within the year.
I think it's about the same.
Yeah. So I went up north with some boys and some Bob Barnes rodeos up there and lucked out and filled my permit. And I filled my permit in June. Of course, I never thought I'd even think about being Rookie of the Year or anything like that, And so as soon as I filled my permit in June, I just sent off and bought my card, and that was in '73. And I think I went to maybe, 8 or so rodeos in '73, and then in '74 I took off and went that full year, and actually won more money in '74 than the guy that won the Rookie of the Year. So if I would have just waited, I might have could have won the Rookie of the Year in '74. But I was so anxious to get my PRCA card, RCA card back then, and so I just sent off and got it, and went to a few rodeos, and anyway, finished that year of college, and then January I took off and went to Odessa, Texas, and I really didn't know but maybe one or two guys, and called him on the phone, and he was going to be there on Saturday night. And I caught a ride. I was still living in Springdale. I caught a ride with a truck driver from Springdale to Dallas, and then he kicked me out at a truck stop. I got a cab over to Love Field, got a $30 flight over to Odessa, Midland, Odessa, and got there about 2 or 3 o'clock, and got a cab over to the fairgrounds, and I just hung out there, and I was really hoping that that boy didn't turn out, because no cell phone back in, you don't know if he's going to be there or not. I had a suitcase, a rigging bag, and a sleeping bag, just in case nobody showed up and I had to stay in the barn or something. And got down there, and I didn't know what I had. I had a fighting bull, and that Harry Bowe had out there, and I think I was 58 points. But that guy's name, he's in the bareback riding, his name is Richard Andrews, and he came in, he come over there to Odessa with another boy named Ronnie Proctor, and so we went to Ronnie's house back at Belton, Texas, and stayed down there and kind of worked on a little ranch for a week before we went off to Denver. And I got to know Ronnie real well, one of the greatest guys, one of the best friends. He quit after a year or so, but me and Ronnie, we talk just about every month. We, still best friends, and one of the greatest guys that I ever run around with. And But anyway, then I took off and met some other people and got some other rides. And I came back and I was rodeoing with Leander Fry out of Louisiana.
I know Leander.
And we went up to, I got in with him. We went up to North Platte, Nebraska, and he got hit on the chute gate and busted his knee and had to leave. And that's when I caught a ride with Randy Majors and got to know Randy. And Randy had already been to the NFL, quite a few times. So I just turned it over to Randy, and the rest was history. He just entered us everywhere, and I wound up making the finals that year. So I owe a lot to Randy. Randy's hauled me around and taught me a lot,
Right.
And had a great
one time, Leander Fry, after he quit riding bulls, he became a judge. And we were down at Pecos, Texas, of all places, and he was down there judging the rodeo. Mac Altizer had the stock there, Bad Company, and there was a gate that wouldn't open. It was stuck. And Leander went over there and he shook it a couple times. And then he took a couple steps back and took a run at this gate. With both feet, he karate kicked this dang thing, and his feet went through the panel on the gate. He was just hanging there. And every time he would ride into the arena after that, for years, they would play the song, "Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting." Yeah, he Kung Fu fought a gate one time, old Leander Fry.
That's after he retired. Think what he'd done when he was riding bulls.
He's in that Red Steagall song, too, about all his cowboy buddies. He has to be talking about Leander Fry. He's the only Leander I ever heard of.
Yeah.
Me too, really.
You ever heard that one on him?
That's the first on that for that story. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
That boy could ride now.
He went all karate on that gate. The gate got the best of him, too.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God.
Denny,
He's a character.
1975, early in your career, you had a horrific injury. Tell us about that, Salt Lake City.
Well, I was traveling with Randy, and I don't know. I was fifth in the nation when I got in the standing, and we had gone out to, I don't know, California or somewhere, and then came back and got to Salt Lake City, and I didn't know what I had at all. One of Swanee Kirby's bulls, and in fact, his number was number 11 too, like the bull that Red Lightning was number 11. But anyway, I got over there, and we looked on the judges' sheet prior, and they were 66 points or something like that. But back then, we went back there and looked at them, and kind of old Brammer type looking bull had horns come straight up, and they just sharp as your little finger. And no, they didn't tip them or anything. And so, thought about just turning out. But back then, they had a fine if you were there at the rodeo and you turned out. It was a $250 fine, and that's a lot of money, back then. So, you put your bull rope on, get on, and ride, get it over with. You're not going to win any money, so you just save them $250. So when I rode him around, and in fact, I think they marked me 65 points on him, but he kind of hesitated and stopped when I was going to get off, and the fence that they had there in that Coliseum was fairly low, and it had a little cable on top. And I thought about getting off. He kind of stopped. I thought about getting off on that fence, but I was afraid he had just turned around right there in that corner and hooked me, because you couldn't get out of the way over that fence. So I was just kind of loosening up, getting ready to get off, and he came around by the bucking chutes and then just made a big lunge, and it just shot me back because I was loose fixing to get off, and it slid me back around where the flank was, and then when he felt me back there, he kicked straight over his head, probably the only time he kicked up. But anyway, throwed me up, and my hand was still in the rope, and it just kind of turned my body just turned around, and then I come belly first, and he had his head down, but his head was coming up, my belly was coming down, and he stuck that horn right above my belt line, and it went in on the left side of my stomach and went up at an angle, missed my heart a half inch, and split my liver, busted my diaphragm. And anyway, then when I come up again, he throwed his head up. Well, I come off of the horn, but my intestines kind of came out with him. And so I hit the ground. I knew I was hurt, and I just put my hand over it, then, moved my hand, and my intestines was underneath my hand. And I just got up and panicked, and run back to the chute. And I just grabbed the chute, holding on, and I went back. Randy had actually got a reride on his bull, and he was looking over the deal, over the chute, and he knew I was hurt. And I pulled my hand back, and I looked up at Randy, and I said, "Randy, I've been ripped." And anyway, he was coming over the chute, and all of a sudden he turned around, went back up, and what he done? He went up there and he poked that flank man in the chest there, and he said, "You can stick that reride up your rear." And I'm sitting there thinking, "Randy, where you going?" And anyway, he come over and helped me stand up. But what was neat about it, it was just God taking over. But before the rodeo ever started, and I talked to this guy while I was in the hospital, but they laid me down on a stretcher, and when they done that, of course, my diaphragm broke. When my intestines went back, it started pushing weight. They started pushing up against my lungs, and I couldn't hardly breathe. I was getting real faint, and I kept thinking I was going to pass out. And I just clutching Randy's hand, and I said, "Randy, don't let me go to. I don't want to go to sleep. Don't let me die." And so 6 minutes, I think they said it took them to get to the doctor, to the hospital, and they wheeled me in there, and that doctor come in, and he said, set him up. And when they picked me up, set me on the little table there, whatever, then my intestines all went down, took the pressure off my chest, and I could take a deep breath. And I mean, that's the best feeling I ever had in my life. And anyway, they rushed me into the emergency deal there and operated on me and cleaned it all out. And luckily, nothing bad, just cleaned it all out and sewed up my liver and, everything, fixed it all in. They found part of my shirt up under the right side of my rib cage. And anyway, they cleaned all that out and stuff. But anyway, the doctor, there was a doctor that before him and his family came to the rodeo that night, he said the good Lord was just telling him that somebody was going to get hurt. And he took his little black bag. And the whole time the rodeo was going on, he kept waiting, for something to happen, because he just kept getting these feelings that somebody's going to get hurt. And when it got down to the bull riding, well, nothing else had happened. So he just got up out of his seat and went down, and he was in the alley. When I got back to the chutes and they let the bull out, then that alleyway gate opened up, and anyway, he's pulling some kind of medicine. I could see him out there. I thought he was one of the paramedics, but he was pulling some medicine in some syringes, and he started giving me shots in my stomach. So I didn't really feel he dead and all that, and so I didn't really feel a lot of pain. You're just scared to death. Right. But after I got out and I was in the hospital after the surgery, he came in and told me all of, what happened, and that God had told him to do this, and he was there. And so anyway, he wrote me some letters after that, and called me a time or two, and we kind of stayed friends for a little while. But then after I, went on and won the finals and stuff, we talked. That was in '75, and I didn't quit till '85. So I don't know, a couple of years in there, and then we just kind of lost contact with each other. But it's just one of those miracles.
Wow. Thank
God that he is there.
Yeah, what a story.
That's a pretty good friend, too, not to get on his bull when his buddy's hurt down there, too.
Oh, he wasn't going to stay and get on his bull. He was going to the hospital with me, Randy, we talk every day just about. Every morning I come up here to work, I'll either call him or he calls me. We visit and, just talk about what today's bull riders and the old bull riders, and we back and forth and, have a good time visit. One of my best friends.
How long were you laid up with that injury, Denny?
Like I say, I was fifth when I got hurt, and that was, Salt Lake was right there at the end of July, kind of, during right before Cheyenne, I guess. About the third week in July. So I was out all of August and part of September. I was out basically about 2 months. And I was in the hospital up here at Fayetteville when I came back, and I stayed up there for about a week, and then just went back home and just healed up. And I'd go back to the doctors and, off and home about every week. And he told me, he said, you're doing really good. He said, I said, well, what about getting on the bull? And he said, well, I wouldn't do that. And anyway, so he said, I guess you can do whatever you want to, but I wouldn't suggest it, And I think I moved down from 5th down to 17th or 18th by the 1st of September. And I was talking to Randy, and Randy, we entered Albuquerque was the first one I entered coming back, and I drew a kind of an old high horn fighting bull there at Albuquerque, and so I turned him out, and then Randy hooked up with him, and we flew to New York Madison Square Garden, and I had a little old black muley up there that just turned back, and I was getting on some little practice bulls at home before I done that. He wasn't my first bull. I got on some jumping kickers and different things, just to make sure that I wasn't pulling something or hurting or anything,
Sure.
But so I went up to New York, and I think I won 3rd and 4th there. And from there, we went to back to Memphis, and I rode my first bull there at Memphis. It's 2 head, and on my second one, I had an old red Bremer bull, had a high horn, and I wasn't getting on him. Dale Vecchio, he said, I wouldn't get on him, and 2 or 3 other guys said, man, you don't. And Randy, he said, if you don't get on this son of a buck, you'll turn out every bull's got a horn. Mm-hmm. He said, put your butt on there, and, Anyway, I wound up getting on him. Bull went out and turned back, and I mean, when that whistle blew, I was wanting off of him so bad. I didn't even undo my wrap or nothing. I just jumped, and when I pulled my hand out of that rope, it pulled a blister, it pulled a hide in out of my glove. I wouldn't tie it on. But when I came off of there, the glove was still in the bull rope. I pulled a blister on my hand, so I thought I was wanting off of there.
Right.
But anyway, and then I went to Omaha, Nebraska, and I rode up there and played. I mean, fear sometimes will make you try a little harder, and I was bearing down trying to ride. I wasn't wanting to buck off and hang up or anything like that. So,
sure.
I mean, and I kept building my confidence up, and by the time it came back around, I moved up back up to 13th, I think, in 75. And then I went to the finals, and I rode my first one. My second bull was the Bucking Bull of the Year that year that Harry Bow was hauling. I think number 33, Panda Bear. He was a bad dude, and he bucked me off. Then I came back and rode all other 8 bulls, and rode 9 out of 10. That was my first time that I won the average at the finals, and that was basically, 3 months after I got gored. So 3 or 4 months, but anyway, that's why I'll still wear that buckle today, just because of that year.
So you won the NFR average the same year you got gutted, basically.
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
Well, I tell some people they talk about it, and I said, well, I don't know if it was fear or luck or just ability, but it just got to make you hang on just a little bit better, I always tell them.
Yeah.
Now I believe it's the rules you have to tip your bulls. I don't know, is it the size of a silver dollar or a quarter or a half dollar or something? It's the rules, Jimbo.
And that went into effect that next year after I got gored.
Huh.
And so they started tipping the bulls in.
Wow.
It'd have been nice if they did the year before.
They thought about that the year before.
They would.
It'd been nice if they'd thought to do that the year before.
It's even the rules in the steer roping now, Jimbo. Like several guys had a sharp horn go through their knee, like when they're crossing the rope before in the past.
Yeah.
And now you have to tip the steer's horns the size of a quarter. So.
Oh, no.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, 1978, that was 75. You just kept getting better, I guess. In 78, you finished second in the world just by a few dollars, a couple $100 or something.
I think Donnie beat me, I don't know, $100 and something, $160 or $70, $80 that year. And then another time he beat me $235, I think. 2 different times I come off a close. And, I blame myself for not going as much.
He was flying, right? He was flying then, wasn't he?
Yeah, I always tell everybody that. They always kid about it, and they ask about it, and I said, yeah, Donnie had an airplane, and I had a Subaru station wagon.
And you still about beat him.
Yeah, I don't know. Donnie was flying everywhere back then. He entered, 60 more rodeos than I did. I own a bunch more bulls, so... we can talk about that, but it's my own fault that I didn't win the world. I didn't go as hard, but you got to get in there and go as hard as he did. He was really hard to beat,
Sure.
He might buck off a few bulls, but he's going to ride the majority of them. He's going to beat you. He's
a poor boy like us. He probably would have had him one of them airplanes like J.W. Coop was flying that the cows ate all the canvas off the wings before he could take back off again.
I think I rode in a couple of them planes like that.
Ooh. We've talked to a lot of cowboys that have some pretty interesting airplane stories. Do you have an interesting airplane story?
I do. I guess I got a couple of them. First time that scared the far out of me was Randy had leased this plane. This guy flying, and we was headed up north somewhere to, going across Kansas or some flat land. I think going up Kansas, Nebraska, somewhere. But anyway, we was flying up there, and Randy, they chewed like I did chew, and I didn't like it. But Randy is spitting in one of them Coke bottles. It had put it in that little old deal behind the seat. And I was in the back. Randy and the pilot was up there. Well, they just all of a sudden turned that plane upside down. I was about half asleep, and they was going to scare me for what it was, and they dang sure did. They turned that plane upside down, and we're flying along there. Instead of just flipping it back over, he just dives down towards the ground. And we're flying north, and he's flying straight down to the ground, and then before he hit the ground, pulled it back up. We're headed south, and I mean it scared the far out of me. And it's really my opinion stupid to cause a plane to do that, because the wing could fall off or something. But anyway, when we was doing that, that spit come out of that bottle and just floating in the air right there in front of me. I just remember that dang spit out of that bottle just floating right in front of my face. And I could have killed them both if I'd have had a gun.
I would have. Once we got on the ground, I'd have
But yeah, no kidding. Well, I got back in later on, and it was the last time that I flew in a plane, a small engine plane. But we'd been to Camden, Missouri, and we flew from there. We was headed back to Cheyenne, and Butch Betts was flying the plane, and I am glad he was. He's a really good pilot. And but anyway, Joe Alexander and David Bockham was in there with us, saddle bronc rider and a bareback rider, and me. And we get up, we stop and fill up at Salina, Kansas, just clear. I mean, it's sunshine just clear as it could be. By the time we get to Cheyenne, we're flying in stuff you can't even see past the windshield. And it's raining. We're right in them clouds, and we're going down through there, trying to get to Cheyenne. And anyway, we'd been in that stuff for about an hour, seemed like. And anyway, the dang instruments started going out, the radios and stuff. So we finally get to Cheyenne up there, and we dropped. The clouds were so low to the ground that you got to make an approach, and you still can't see anything. He's talking to the tower, and so when we dropped through the clouds, the guy in the tower said, "Your landing gear's not down." So we had to go back up into that cloud and circle around. And radio, we only had that one radio by then, and so I was up in the co-pilot seat, and I had to tear the floor of the plane out and get down there, and you've got a hand jack, and you can sit there and pump that thing and jack them wheels down. But you see them, you couldn't lean out any to see if they were down or not. And so we came back around, we circled 50 times, come back, and we approached, and I looked over at Butch, and I said, we need to ask him if they're down. He said, we can't go back up. His sweat was coming off his forehead, and that's when I really got scared. And, I mean, we were dropped out of them clouds, and I said something about, wouldn't it be better to get on the ground and slide in as to be on that concrete? And he said, shut up. And I sat over there, and then, I mean, it was really scary. And boy, when them wheels hit that pavement, I mean, we just wanted to get out and kiss the ground. And we made it up there, and we got on our bulls and everything, and you know, bareback horses, and everything was fine. But I apologized to old Butch and told him what a good pilot he was, but I never got back into another single engine plane.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
Yeah, pretty scary.
Yeah, when you scare bull riders, that's pretty bad. 1979, you rode Steiner's Red Lightning for 98 points. That was the highest ride ever at that time, wasn't it?
At that time, yeah. There's one boy that's 100 now.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And I talk to him every now and then. I'll try to call him, visit with him a little bit. I never did know him, but after he had marked the 100-point ride, I call him and visit with him a little.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was one of the highlights. It was, you know, that bull had ganted up. He had been there. In fact, Art Ray rode him before I got there. It was 95 or something, 94, 95.
Yeah.
And anyway, but Roger Langford very talented artist. He was a blank man, and Roger said, "This son of a gun's gonna buck." Said, "I've been with him all his life, just about." Said he's gonna buck, so bear down. And he had kind of gained up a little bit, but I mean, this bull just blowed out of there and got in that air and come around and then reversed it and went the other way. And I don't, it's just one of them deals that felt right. And there's a time or two I thought I was gonna, I was thinking about my hand. Subconsciously, I wasn't thinking about making moves or nothing. I was just trying to hold on, but anyway, it's by far one of the best bull rides I ever made in my life. But
best bull ride anybody's ever made. Yeah.
He was a really, really good bull.
Then you rode him in a ceremonial ride or something when they retired him. What was that all about?
Oh, they wanted me to. That's after I quit. I rode him at the finals after that and won a round on him out there. I rode him at Del Rio and won Del Rio bull riding on him after that too. And but anyway, they called wanting to make a big deal out of it and advertise it there in Palestine. I don't think I'd been on a bull in 18 months, maybe.
Yeah.
And anyway, they called and want me to come up and get on him. But the bull is, he's probably 15 years old by then. And Roger said they was going to retire him and all this stuff. And so I went up there and got on him, and he turned back and bucked. Roger said, you probably could have won the rodeo on him. But anyway, I made the whistle on him again, but he just had a really good day. And they retired him, and Roger gave me the flank rope off of him that day, and I still got it hanging in my little trophy room. Mm. But anyway, he's one of by far the neatest bull that I've ever been on. So I've won a lot of money on him.
Yeah. Huh. 19 Cody, he's one of the toughest bull riders. Of course, we already learned that on when he got gored. But 1981, he suffered a concussion on his sixth bull at the finals and still won the finals. 1983. Go ahead.
That's 80.
81.
That's 81.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a concussion.
Yeah. That was a kind of a weird deal. I was in the alley back there fixing to put my rope on that bull, and they didn't. Whoever's back there to get the slide, they run him up in that alley, and they didn't shut the slide gate, and they brought another big brindle bull right in behind him. Well, that little bull, he was up as far as he could go. And I watched it happen. That brindle come in there and hit him in the butt and just folded that bull up. Yeah, I mean, just tried to push him through that front gate. And so they backed that bull up. Well, I jumped up there to put my rope on him, and I just put my foot on his back, and he just go down in his back end. And what it done, it broke something in his back. Piece something or whatever. I don't know. But I told that stock contractor, I went around there and told him, and I forget who even owned the bull now. I went around there and told him, I said, that bull, they didn't get that gate shut. He butted that bull and he's crippled. He said, he ain't crippled. I just run him up through there. And the bull was standing up, but then when you get on there, he'd kind of fall down in his back end. Well, they just rolled him up in that front chute there, and he flanked him a little enough. But when I nodded for him, and they opened the gate, he just drug his back end out, and he barely cleared the gate. And then, I mean, he just fell over sideways. My head hit that old hard ground, and I didn't remember anything until probably 11 o'clock the next morning. And anyway, that wound up. I told that doctor, when he's going to let me out, I said something about riding, and he said, no. And anyway, so, I did it anyway, but,
Had to. Had to cowboy
Had to.
up. Yeah.
well, I had to get on two of them that
Right.
night.
Right.
I was the first bull rider out for the re-ride from the night before. And then there was the last bull rider out. And I rode both of them and, placed, I think I placed on one of them or maybe two of them. I don't know. I'm sure they give me a few points for, getting back on or
Right.
something. But
Yeah.
anyway, I went on and rode. Did it say how many I rode that year? I can't even remember now.
I don't remember. I didn't write it down.
Anyway, won the average in 81, and then I come back in 80, but 82 I won the average, I think. I got married in 80, and I went to the finals. I think I was in the lead in going into the national finals, and me and my wife got married that November and went up there, and I swear I couldn't ride nothing. I think I bucked off 4 or 5 bulls. So they blamed it on my wife.
Right.
He really danced around that world championship because there was a couple of years in the 70s they gave it to the average winner, and hell, he won the average 3 times. So
I know.
he really just danced around it like big time, Jimbo.
It was dodging him, wasn't it?
Yeah. What they do that 2 years there, Donnie won it 1 year, Butch Kirby won it the other year. And it was whoever won the average at the finals was the world champion.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I missed it 3 different times, I guess.
Missed it every way you could.
Yeah, I mean, with the odds, he should have got it for sure.
Yeah, I know. But it didn't hurt your reputation any because you're still recognized as one of the all-time greats.
Rodeo clowns and bullfighters. Did you ever know old Buddy Heaton?
I didn't really know him real well, but I know who he was. And I remember the name and all of that. Yeah.
That crazy guy, when he got out of prison, used to be my babysitter. Did you know that? He did.
No, I
That
didn't.
explains
He
it.
did. He moved in with my grandpa and grandma
Yeah.
when he was on parole or something like that. And they used to leave me with him, and he was my babysitter. Hell, we drove around town together and all kind of fun stuff.
It's all starting to make sense now.
Yeah, I didn't know I was hanging out with a true
Yeah.
blue outlaw.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
You
did
didn't think so about it, did you?
when did you retire, Denny, and how hard was it, or why did you retire?
I was kind of getting tired. I was going with my wife a lot, back then, and I kept getting hurt. I went to I went 80, 81, 82, and then, I got hurt there at the finals a little bit. And so 83, it just started out, and then I broke my finger on my riding hand, and then I broke some ribs, and, I don't know. I just kept getting hurt. So I didn't make the finals in 83, and then come back in 84, didn't make the finals, just not going, and so I wanted to go 10 times to the NFR. So I kind of healed up all from just the injuries that I had, and kind of got fired up again and I went to the winter rodeos, and I won, quite a bit during. So that gives you a pretty good start. So 85, I didn't go to a lot of rodeos, but I won some major rodeos. And so anyway, I won enough money to get back into to make the national finals in 85. And I set a little goal to, if I made it to 35 years old, then I wasn't getting on another bull. I was going to quit. I'd seen, and Randy Majors was one of them. He should have quit a few years before, because all the young guys would watch him when he was 40-something year old. I think he got on his last bull when he was 48.
Wow.
And he kept falling off, bucking off. Well, that's what the young crowd remembered about Randy.
Right.
And Paul Mayo kind of done that. He was one of my idols because he rode bareback horses and bulls both, and he kept hanging on, and then got where he couldn't spur and bucking off a lot of bulls and stuff. And I didn't want to be remembered like that. I wanted to be let them remember me as going out as a winner.
Right.
So anyway, so I just set a deal that if everybody that's 35, I wasn't going to enter another rodeo. So, and I also told myself if they start calling me old man and they start letting these young and up and coming kids, if they start gifting them a little bit and docking me a little bit, then I'm gonna quit because I don't want to compete with that,
Right.
And so me and my wife went to Phoenix, Arizona, and I had a bull that I won a round on at the NFR that year, that December before, and I was 87 points on him there at Phoenix, and so then here come the young and up and coming kid, and he rides a Charlet bull that was kind of bad to jerky down, had a reputation a little bit, but he went ducking, diving out to the barrel, and about 7 seconds he turned back, whistle blew, and he rode him about 3 or 4 rounds after that and jumped off, and they marked him 85. Well, time the rodeo was over, then they moved him up to 87 and moved me down to 86 or something. Anyway, he beat me on 1 second. And so I just told my wife, we was driving back to Arkansas, and I looked at her. There wasn't anything. That was in March, and my birthday was in April. And so I looked at her, and I said, I'm not ever getting on nothing.
Wow.
And she said, you're lying. I said, no, I'm done. I'm not ever getting on nothing. I hadn't been on a bull except for Red Lightning 18 months after that, and then I quit. Red Lightning was the last bull I got on. That young and up and coming kid was tough eating.
Is that right?
Was that Red Lightning bull? Was he any kin to Red Rock?
No. Red Lightning was Steiner's. They got him somewhere up off one of them amateur guys down there. Andy Curry or somebody down there had him, or helped get him. Red Rock was on the West Coast. He was a Brindle bull, but they wasn't kin to each other. They didn't have that breeding program like they do now, genetics and all of this stuff. And, you got bulls that's half brothers all over the country. So
that breeding program, it's really something else, isn't it?
It is. It really brought a lot of really good bulls.
It's so good, they're backing off the ride time to 6 seconds, it looks like, everywhere. What do you think about that?
I thought that was one of the best April Fool's jokes there was.
They got a rule right now going through the PRCA to get rid of the mark out rule in the saddle bronc riding, and they're going to do away with the crossfire and the team roping too.
Wow,
it'll be pretty wild,
They're getting rid of all the rules.
I know it.
If you were,
I think one of the rules that I think it would be good if a bull or a horse even stumbles or hits himself a little bit when he comes out, then they say that they'll give him a reride because the cowboy didn't have a fair chance or something. But say in the bulldogging, if a steer sets up right out of the box, right, that's tough luck. If a breakaway for a calf or a calf rope and calf ducks to the left, tough luck. So those guys didn't have a shot either. So I'm surprised that all the timed event guys and girls don't get together and kind of protest the rule on one or the other. Why is it fair in the bull riding and not fair in the other events? as far as getting
Right.
equal to compete on animals.
The steer roping has a rule, and I don't know if it's still in there or not. It was just a few years ago. If your steer stops and you declare your run right then, you have to have it on him. You have to have it around his horns, and you declare, you get in a rerun.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's hard to have equal. All the steers or all the bulls or horses, all of them the same,
Right.
So you're going to run into that all the time. So I can see where they give rerides on all of that.
But the luck of the draw is just part of rodeo, always has been. And
always has been, yeah. Luck of the draw.
There used to be a bunch of low point bulls out there, which there's not hardly any of those around anymore.
You don't see hardly any of those bulls under 20. I mean, they mark them. It's neat to me to watch them. It'd be nice to draw a red lightning every time you enter the rodeo.
I was talking to old Shorty Garden a while back, and he told me he don't know how many bulls he got on at Cheyenne and was scored 56, 60 points.
Yeah. Bunch. I mean, in that big arena, and they bring in bulls in. That Hyatt guy up there in South Dakota brought in a bunch of old, I don't know, every one of them had real high horns, none of them tipped, and never, ever been bucked. And they'd buck them out, and in that big old arena, and it's scary. I seen Monty Henson got on one that went out through there just ducking and diving, and then turned back right at the whistle. He stepped off, and that bull chased him, and Monty looked like a track star hurdler. When he got to that other side over by the track, he just hurdled that fence, and that bull went right behind him. I mean, it was scary back then. That's a big arena to get away from. Thank God we had Wick Pest there.
Yeah.
You had a lot of good luck there, didn't you?
I did, yeah. My first year there, in 74, not to talk about the judges, but I was 92 points in the short go, and they were fixing to walk me across to get the saddle or whatever. And Brian McDonald, the bull ride director, we had already kind of stepped out from the bucking chutes going across, and Brian hollered at me and said, "Hey, wait a minute. He said, you didn't win it." And, them guys said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Well, they moved John Quintana up 8 points to beat him 1 point in average." And so, anyway, John got the buckle and whatever else, and I won second, and I'm still tickled to death.
It's a heck of a good rodeo to win second at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you. And then I won it in 85. That helped me get to the finals that year, so it was really good.
Talk about a retirement
year.
Yeah,
it was. But I placed there quite a bit, I was always able to get, in those averages, get most of the bulls rode, and that always helped. Like Del Rio's 2 head, 3 head, all in bigger rodeos where you get 2 go-arounds and a short go or something. I was always able to, just make the whistle, and you're probably going to make the short go anyway on 2 heads.
Jimbo and I's family had pretty good luck at Cheyenne. His granddad had won it, and my dad's won it a couple times.
Really?
Yes,
That's
sir.
Great. Yeah.
My grandfather
That's
won all around there in 49. Yep.
49?
Yeah.
The dirt band steer rope, and I don't know. We've been going up, and one of my best friends here lived with John Israel for a while up there south in Winona, and so we go up and visit with him, but I used to love just go watch all the dirt down ropings and stuff. We had it here at Fort Smith a couple of years, and then they didn't do it anymore. So
they set the world record there. It still stands 7.7 seconds. Cody Sheck.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Here at Fort Smith?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I thought I was really
didn't
going to do
know.
something. I was like 9 flat on a steer and 1/6 in the go round there. That was a fast roping.
That's good. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Denny, if you were in your prime today, you think you'd be in the PBR instead of the PRCA?
Oh yeah, I'm sure I would. There's just so much more money in that thing. Chance of winning $1 million. Who wouldn't go for it?
And the travel's a lot better too, isn't it? I mean, less rodeo.
Travel's a lot less. That fit me up, to a T, because I didn't like traveling much anyway. But
Right.
you can go to so many of them bull riding and have a chance to win that much money. It'd be silly not to go to it.
Right. What do you think about all these Brazilians that ride so good?
Well, when you think about their background, and I got a chance to talk to Adriano Moraes that won the PBR there a couple of times, and he's very interesting to talk to, and I run into him out at Vegas, and I just kind of stepped in front of him. He didn't know who I was or anything, and I just stuck my hand out and I said, Adriano, my name's Denny Flynn. I just wanted to say hi and visit with you and meet you. He grabbed me and just pulled me over. He said, Denny Flynn, he said, sit down. We have to visit. And he said, we watch all your tapes over there. We do this and that, and so he was tickled to death to meet me, and I was tickled to death to meet him. But he went into the part where he said, we're come from a country that was poor and we couldn't win that much money, and to come over here and win. And he said, they were all poor. And he said for coming over and riding that much money. And so we got to talking about, what they rode and everything. And he was talking about just riding anything. Like I used to get on those horses that my dad would bring, or anything that he brought home from the stockyards, we'd ride it, But his background was kind of like mine. They got on everything that they could get over and ride, and they go to a few rodeos over there, and then they came over here, but the rodeos over there didn't pay near. I mean, of course, he won $1 million over here, and so he started helping all those boys come over and join in on a PBR. He would get them over, and then some of the other guys, Ed Nine, all of those, they would help the guys, didn't speak the language or whatever, and help them get into it. But those boys are tough. I mean, they ride. I mean, with their feet and their legs, and pulling on their arm and holding themselves down and looking good on them. I like to watch them ride. I went to Little Rock the other day to that PBR down there. Me and Kenny Wilcox, and got up there, and then we got to watch and visit with them, and it's really neat, seeing all those really good bulls and them boys ride so good,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
If you were making a Mount Rushmore of bull riders, who would you put on it, Dan? I need 4 names.
Well, Donnie Gay would be one of them, for all he's done, and being the great that he is, you could. I mean, there's guys that I would have to put, Harry Tompkins or Gene Lida, some of them boys that rode, before me that could ride anything,
Right.
Harry Tompkins could put his hand in the boat and get on anything, let his feet fly around and
wave at the cameraman at the same time.
Yes.
One of the most famous rodeo pictures of all time.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. With all the guys that's going now, I really like, you can pick a bunch of those guys out of there. I hate to name 4 guys, but Donnie would, in my era, I would have to put Donnie up, just because of what he done and how dedicated. And I don't think I ever met another guy that wanted it as bad as he did. I mean, he would. It didn't matter if he had a jumping kicker in California, and they could go out there and place in the day money and win, and that was his deal. You know, he'd spend $1,500 to go out there, and knowing that he's only going to win $250. But he said every dollar counts. You know,
right.
And we talked about it. I said, well, he beat me $187 one time and $230 something another time. You know, if you hadn't gone and got on that day money, or
right.
if I'd have went and got on them. But you know, I was poor when I started, and I saved quite a bit of money rodeoing, and you know, and it doesn't pay like it does now. I always tell these boys around. They talk about how much money that they're winning out there now. And we figured it up a couple of years ago that if in '75 I placed in 6 go-arounds, won the average, and if you've done that now, you'd win a little over 300 and something thousand.
Right.
And I won 4,800 total by placing in 6 rounds, winning the average at the final.
Yep.
Never another poor day.
Never had a poor day. I thought that was the most money I ever had. But I also remember when Douglas Brown walked up to me and we was talking there at that was one of them first finals, and he said, "I can't believe these go-arounds are paying $1,600 to win them." He said, "Back in our day, they were $250, and then you fourth place, you might win $50, $75." So it all comes around. I'm glad these boys are winning all that money. I'm glad to see it up there. You know?
They better win a lot, as much as it takes to get up and down the road now. And all, and
oh, yeah. Yeah. I think all of them fly a lot of, most of them, you know, especially in PBR deals and stuff.
Yeah. What are you doing these days, Denny? You still doing something in the rodeo?
Well, I took a job here at the the Old Fort Days Rodeo in Fort Smith. I manage. This is owned by a trust fund association. The city, we're not part of the city or the county. There's 16 board members on it, and the other guy that was managing this operation passed away, and so I put my name in a hat, and I've been here since I think I started in '08. So I've been here 14 years something.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do the Old Fort Days Rodeo. We have an expo building that we do gun shows, weddings, anything that they want to do in this expo building. I rent it out and I manage the grounds. And I really like it because I can stay in touch with a lot of people that come through here. Rodeo people, people do, we do the state fair here, or a district fair. But anyway, you just get to meet and see a lot of people, and so it's a really good job for me, and I enjoy it. I could retire and quit, but I like to work. I like to keep going and moving. My dad, he passed away when he was 94, and they said, "Don't ever stop working. Just keep going." And so I'm very fortunate to be in the shape that I'm in. I'm 73 years old now, and I get around real good. I don't have any bad aches and pains, a little arthritis and stuff, and maybe a rotator cuff and when I try to rope and can't, But other than that, I'm feeling really good.
Well, Denny, we really appreciate you coming on today.
I enjoy it. Yeah. I had to come and visit with you guys when I get up in that country or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. He's got a good friend up here. He's actually a national treasure, old John Israel. There's not a better guy in the world than old John that I know.
Well, we're going to go back up there, and I'd like to go on up to Paul Huska there and go to the museum. I really didn't want to go up there. We just need to take a little more time when we go. We try to go up, come back the same day, so maybe we can get up there and spend a day or two and go through the museum and maybe visit a little bit. I'd like to go to the roping up there at Paul Huska they have. So
Father's Day weekend.
Anyway,
Yeah,
there you go.
absolutely. We'd love to have you.
Old John Israel, he has a big display here in the museum. I'm surprised he hadn't brought you over here to show you. He likes bringing people over here and showing off his display.
Well, I've got 2 or 3 of these bits that I use on my horses all the time. So I'm just he's a character. I love to sit and listen to them old stories.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Denny, we sure appreciate y'all coming on today, and it's just been
a great one.
Great podcast, Jimbo.
Absolutely. And Denny, I'll let you know when this comes out. Give you a little
All
heads
right.
up how to find it.
Hey, everybody,
That'd
be
be
sure
great.
and leave us a comment, share it. It's on all the social medias, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a review or anything you want to do. If you want to, me and Jimbo really appreciate all that.
Yep.
It helps the podcast out a little bit, folks. And come see the museum. Come eat at the Saucy Calf restaurant. Come buy some turquoise over at the Buck and Flamingo Turquoise Shop. And pick
All
up
right.
one of Jimbo's CDs while you're here, too, with some original music that he wrote on there. So,
Well, good.
well, all right.
Well, I
We'll see
appreciate
everybody
it.
next
Thanks
week.
for having me.
Our pleasure, Denny.